When a sudden legal issue hits your family, the most disorienting part isn't usually the event itself. It's the immediate avalanche of unfamiliar rules, deadlines, and potential costs you're suddenly expected to navigate. The standard reflex is to call a lawyer right away. You book a consultation just to figure out which way is up and ask the most basic question: what is this going to cost? This chart shows the traditional legal dilemma. We have predictability of costs on the horizontal axis and financial risk on the vertical. Most common issues, like navigating a divorce, handling a probate estate, or dealing with a car accident, start out sitting firmly in the highest risk and lowest predictability zone. Moving these issues into a lower risk zone usually requires a toll. You end up paying a $300 hourly retainer simply for a professional to run standard, publicly available statutory math. When you outsource your baseline education, you burn through the exact leverage and capital you need for the actual legal decisions ahead. The better question to ask is how you can calculate your financial exposure and timelines across different state laws before you ever sit down with a professional. Made for Law is a tool built to solve exactly this problem. It's a completely free database that requires no account to use. It uses verified statutory data to map out legal formulas across all 50 states and over 3,000 local counties. You pick your state, enter a few basic details, and it instantly generates a plain English breakdown of expected costs and timelines tailored to your jurisdiction. Securing this data beforehand changes the purpose of your consultation. You move past the discovery phase and start negotiating high-level strategy immediately. Let's look at how this applies to the most common legal friction points, starting with transferring wealth after a death or dividing assets during a family split. The traditional discovery process for these events usually involves weeks of waiting for consultations, just to be handed a dense, confusing fee schedule. Made for Law skips that waiting period. You select the specific probate or family law tool, input your local jurisdiction and estimated asset values, and get straight to the math. It instantly returns a legally accurate breakdown of the maximum allowable executor fees, mandatory court filing costs, and baseline administrative expenses according to your state statutes. There is a trade-off here. You miss out on the personalized handholding of a lawyer's pitch. In exchange, you gain an objective mathematical baseline that protects you from being overcharged. That exact principle of establishing an objective statutory baseline applies directly to their child support estimators and property division calculators as well. An attorney's premium rate should pay for their ability to negotiate and strategize on your behalf, not for plugging numbers into a standard state formula. This data framework becomes even more crucial when dealing with sudden disruptions, like a severe personal injury or an unexpected workplace termination. Calculating a personal injury settlement or a fair severance package involves a dense web of variables, factoring in everything from future lost wages to complex medical liens. This chart illustrates how those variables assemble. Individual blocks representing medical costs, lost income, and legal multipliers stack together to build your total projected settlement range. But those baseline heights fluctuate wildly depending on where you live. A statute of limitations or a damage cap in Texas will look completely different than one in California. A free calculator cannot sit at the negotiation table for you. What it does is set a strict, mathematically sound anchor for your expectations. Walking into a negotiation with that specific data is the most reliable way to spot and reject an insulting first offer from an insurance adjuster or an employer. The final area where this tool shines is when you need to shield your property or restructure your finances. Before making any major moves, you need to verify your local protections, like calculating your Chapter 7 means test or checking your exact homestead exemption limits. Made for Law covers this thoroughly. The platform spans 11 different practice areas, giving you access to over 50 specific legal tools. The trade-off for utilizing these property shield tools is clear. You have to do the initial heavy lifting of gathering and organizing your own financial documents. But doing that homework yourself saves thousands in legal fees by preventing you from chasing bankruptcy or protection strategies you don't even legally qualify for. Pre-qualifying yourself legally creates a filter for your remaining assets. It ensures your limited capital isn't wasted on strategies that aren't legally viable for your situation. Let's compare the two approaches. The traditional method requires you to hire an attorney first to discover the facts. The modern method requires you to secure the data first and hire the attorney second. This chart shows the optimal path. You start with your legal issue, run it through Made for Law to establish a baseline, and lock in expected costs. This changes your position, letting you lead with established expectations, reducing the time and cost of discovery. Remember, you want to pay an attorney's premium hourly rate strictly for their courtroom execution and high-level strategy. Operating without your own baseline data is essentially paying a voluntary tax for being uninformed. This database is built for anyone facing a major life transition who wants to protect their assets before making their first move. It is not a replacement for legal counsel. If you're expecting bespoke, tactical courtroom strategy without actually hiring a lawyer, this isn't for you. Stop guessing about legal fees, reading outdated forum posts, and walking in completely blind. You need this data. Go to Made for Law, select your state, Choose your specific situation and get your baseline established right now. Spending 5 minutes on proactive research replaces general guesswork with specific figures you can use to build a realistic plan.